Hello, welcome to Sover, the how I made my game engine. If you watched my previous video, you already know this screen. Although now it's only 5 p.m, so the background is kind of blue. But if you haven't seen that video, I made 4 games using a custom-made game engine that I made. And I showcased this game in it. Hey, 1 second. Showcase this game. And I already made videos showcasing all of the other games as well. But I would also like to make videos about how I made all of the games individually. And I would like to start off with this one, The Fascinating Possibilities, because this was the first game I made. So a lot of the decisions that went into the engine was due to this game. So if you haven't seen the video, it's just basically a game where you want to reach a given score that you can see on the top of the screen. And you can click a button to add to a number and remove a button and divide the score and add to the score and make a button negative and make random buttons and this kind of stuff. And when you reach a score, that button gets unlocked. I miscalculated. When you reach a score, that button gets unlocked. And now you can override whatever happens now and multiply the buttons as many times as you want. So it's a very simple game, and it mostly only uses buttons. And of course, it also has regular text. But these texts are actually buttons as well. They're just invisible. Actually make them visible. All of them are in a buttons variable. And the buttons have layers, but this one only has one layer, which is the game. And here the 9 and the 10th button correspond to these two. So that's the score and the text. So I could do something like buttons.game 9.color. It have some visibility, and then you can see that the button is very much not aligned to the text, but I didn't have to align it because you don't see it anyways. But if I would make its width like bigger, then the text becomes bigger as well, like this. And I decided for the text to just be buttons that you can click and that don't have backgrounds, because that's why I always know that anything that buttons can do can also be done with text. And I honestly, I really love how it works. And buttons can also have a subtext that's usually in the bottom right corner, like in these, like the X1 and X3 and stuff like that. It's like this button can also have that. Hi. Subtext. Hi. Okay. I misremembered. I thought the T has to be capitalized, but no. But as you can see, this is just a button as well. And if we go to the code, this is where all of my games are. And also there are more in this script, but those ones are not finished yet. But these ones are the finished ones, and this is the fascinating possibilities. This is the entire code. And honestly, the code is pretty bad for this one because, well, this was the first game I made with the engine, so I didn't really know how I want the engine to work. So if I remade this game, it would look way better than this. But basically, there are a lot of functions after the games. So all of these are functions that do all sorts of stuff. Like these ones draw everything and yeah, a bunch more other stuff. And here in the games, I made these kind of events. Then all they do is they call functions. So the onNextFrame event calls the draw function, which is then here. The draw then later calls the draw call, and this draws everything. And this itself runs the event draw order, which isn't in this game because it's just the default one. But for something like the countries quiz, it specifies a draw order. Like this event calls for functions, but it can also run raw code as well. Like, okay, this one is a horrible example, but this is technically code as well. So you can see it's not just a name of a function, but it's actually a line of code. But it's a bit too big, as you can see. But what it does is there are these unlocked buttons, which are the ones up top here. And it checks the 5 and the 6 button. And as always, the first one has the number 0. So this is the 5th and the 6th button. And it checks if they're unlocked. And if they're unlocked, it unlocks the secret 7th button. But for basically everything else in the code, I wanted to avoid having lines of code. And instead, I made like these kind of stuff. So like this randomized number type event calls the function increment array state with the arguments, the array name is number types, and it should increment it by 1, for example. But all of them are like this. The f column refers to the function name. So all of these are these a bit like overly complicated function calls. And after I made this game, I stopped doing this because it's it's just like too much. It's a bit hard to see what's happening because everything looks so similar. It's like, for example, these are the events that add the buttons that you can see, and here they call a function, and the arguments are the buttons themselves. So they have the position, the text size, the margin, the everything, and then right after it happens again for the other kind of buttons. I think for this one it would have been a lot nicer to actually have raw text. And as you can see, there are these double less than, double more than symbols, and those indicate that this should be read as code instead of text, and that's why this is code, for example. There's also another type of this, which is a bit overly complicated, and that's also why I said I don't really like how this code is particularly, but I like all of the other games' codes though. But this one is a mess for sure, because there are these. The double opening curly brackets and closing curly brackets, which are also code, but it gets run later. It's messed up, I admit. I don't use these anymore for other games. Okay, actually, I think for these ones it could have been these. This was the first one I came up with, and then later I realized that sometimes you need these. But now I realize you can never need these. It's complicated, okay? But I think here they do the same thing. The one place where it actually does something else is when you put these as a text of a button, like this score button, for example. In this score button, I would do something like score is score. Then the text is still score is score, but in the game you see the value of score. So if I change score, then this changes as well, because it reads it. Because every time the game draws this button, it checks what the actual code equals to. But yeah, as I said, I don't really use these anymore. And also this game doesn't use it either, because it just has the actual number. Okay, I forgot to say this in the recording, but the reason I made this engine is because in the past, every time I wanted to make a game, I kept remaking the same features over and over again. For example, the buttons. And once I implemented a new feature in the game, all of my previous games would become kind of obsolete. But with this engine, I can make like pretty small games that all have every feature that I need. And that made it so I can basically finish around 5 to 10 times the amount of games I could finish in a year. So hopefully you can see a lot more games from me in the future. Because last year I only made 2, but I already finished 4 by April this year. But I think the best way I could explain how the engine works is to actually try to make a small game in this video. So that's gonna be the rest of this video, to try to make an idle game, for example. Because I think those games are slightly tricky to make, but also kind of the easiest games to make, if you don't care about it being that good and stuff. Yeah, let's just quickly go over the main parts of the engine. As you can see, at first it says overwrittenVariables. So here you can completely change what's inside an already existing variable. Like the events get overwritten. In this game, only the events get overwritten. And then there's the createdVariables, where you can make completely new ones, like score and merge score and all of the text for the game, but the buttons do. And then finally you have modifiedVariables, and I think the colors one is the most obvious example. So there is a colors variable that has all of these colors, and here instead of overwriting all of them, it only overrides the background color, which is not an existing one, so it just adds a background color to it, which is this one, which is actually a gradient, so it's a bit more confusing, but it could just be like a normal color, like red or something. So okay, let's try to make a quick game. It's a lot easier to just duplicate a game and remove the parts you don't need than to try to rewrite all of them. So here's my new original game. I'm calling it Fascinating Idol. I don't need any of these because they were specific to the fascinating possibilities. I can delete all of these because I'm gonna have different stuff, and also I don't need the background color. And this data is only for my website. So like this text you see and the name, okay, not the name actually, but the release date and the tags. And for this one I can just leave those empty basically. And also I can add the videos part to it as well. And this video is gonna be part of the how it was made for the fascinating possibilities. So there's a chance you found this video from the website, but I think that's pretty low. But if so, I hope you're enjoying it, I guess. I also don't need the unload one, but in case I do, it's good that it's here. Okay, let's create a button first. So here I can override the buttons variable. It could just be a game layer. Here I'm gonna copy and paste the button as well. Okay, here's a quit button that I actually want to have in the game, so I'm also gonna add a quit button. Okay, here's a quit button as well. But let's make a button at the middle of the screen, which is 0.5, because the positions go from 0 to 1, 0 being the leftmost of the screen and right is the rightmost, and also the top and the bottom. And it can be size of 1 for everything. And the absolute position is that it doesn't matter where the camera is. The buttons will always be in the middle of the screen, for example. But in this case, I don't really need that, so I can just delete it. And I guess since I already mentioned this kind of thing, I can have a score that always gets updated, and I can make a score variable which is 0 from the start. And it doesn't have to have an on-click function, but it could have the game presets that text button. It just makes the color invisible. Okay, I guess I don't need this either. It makes the color invisible and it makes it so you can't click on it. And now if I run it, it should work. It doesn't work. Let's see why. Oh yeah, for this one I need to surround it with curly brackets. Okay, now the quit button is there, but there's no score. I think that's because the camera is wrong. So instead of having a locked camera, I'm gonna have a free one. So now I can move it and find the 0 right there. Oh yeah, okay. No, yeah, okay, I realized my error. You can make it so the positions go from 0 and 1, but I think by default it goes from negative 0.5 to positive 0.5, which I completely forgot about somehow. So if I make it 0, 0, it should work. Yeah, now it's in the middle from the start. Okay, I can make it to one line, and I can also add another button to the side of it, and that can have an on-click event. And here I can make it like a raw code thingy, and I can just say the score should go up by 1, and the text should be like click or something. Now if I click it, it goes up. And as you can see, this is way more readable for a programmer than if it was something like function, increment, okay, that doesn't even exist, but something like increment value in array, and then arguments is something like that. So yeah, nowadays I would definitely do it like this. Okay, but to actually make it an idle game, I could have another variable. I don't know what they should be though. Purchases or something, I don't know. And that could be, okay, for now just a single value as well. So this could be like purchase 1, and then the purchases go up by 1. And then in the next frame, before the draw, I could call an event that's called like refresh score or something, and then I make refresh score right here. Okay, and I'm gonna use these for it as well. But since I made fascinating possibilities, I implemented multiple line code as well, so I can do something like this. And here I can write any code I want. Though for now, it works a bit in a janky way. You also have to put curly brackets at the start and the end of it, which doesn't sound that bad, but the reason why you have to do that is horrible, and I don't wanna say it, but I'm hoping to remove this need sometime in the future, hopefully. But yeah, basically it could just do something like score is incremented by the purchases, and now I purchase 1, it gets incremented every frame, which is really, really fast. But if I purchase 2, then it gets faster, and now it's way faster. Okay, let's make it so the purchase is per second instead of per frame. By that point, I could do something like get current time, then make a time variable this way in the actual code way instead of like this. And I'm gonna check what this actually does because I don't remember. Okay, get the computer time. So this could be current time, and I could make a previous time value, which I need to update on load when the game first loads. So let me do that here. And also at the end of this. And now the current time minus previous time is how many milliseconds have passed in the last frame, and I can divide that by 1,000, so it's how many seconds have passed, and I can multiply by the amount of purchases. And now it has too many decimal points, but it does work. And if I click it a lot, it goes up faster. Okay, I guess I could make a drawn score value as well, and then that could be the score with 2 decimal places, and then that's drawn. Amazing. It's actually really jarring when it gets to 0.0, it doesn't show the decimal place. I could have a really bad solution to that. I could just do a check if the drawn score has a point in it. No, if it doesn't have a point in it, then I could have like a 0.0. Amazing. Okay, it is way better now, to be honest. Okay, now for the idle game, it would be pretty important to make it so it costs an amount of score to purchase the purchase, and that it increases the more you buy. So I could make this into an object. I'm like, price is something, and then the amount is also something. And then here the purchase is that amount gets increased, and that's what gets multiplied by the best time to the score. And for this one, I can actually make it into the next line, so I could make it bigger, and I could just do if the score is more equals the price, then add 1 to it and also lower the score by that much. So this could be a multiple line one as well. Okay, so the score goes down by the price, and then the price should increase, let's say by 4 or something, and you should see the price. So I could technically just do this again. Purchase 4. This much now, so it should be way smaller. Okay, amazing. I love how the button is too tall. Purchase for 0, not purchase for 4, but I can't do it because I don't have enough. But once I have 4, I can purchase it, and it's beautiful. And now it's for 8, and now it's for 12, and at some point it's gonna take too long to buy the next one, but whatever. Yeah, that's a basic idle game, basically. A very basic one indeed. Amazing. Okay, technically works. It is confusing to know what does what, how much these increase the number by. Awesome. That's 1 per second, and this would be 6 per second and 11 per second. Okay, it's a bit small. It is beautiful. It's very fast. This is like the fastest idle game of all time. 4 to the power of 4. I don't know what to do anymore. Oh, because of the past one. Okay, wait, this is too much. Okay, wow. Oh, wait, yeah, this shouldn't have a +1 either. And let's do just 3s. But then this will never increase. Okay, so here's my beautiful idle game. That works perfectly with no flaws at all. So you can't purchase anything else aside from the, okay, wait a minute. I could make this bigger and make them text buttons. 1 second. Okay, so here's my beautiful idea again. You can only purchase the first one. And now we have one of those. I don't know why the number is to the left to it, actually, now thinking about it, but whatever. You purchase a lot of these, but oh no, it keeps getting more expensive. The tragedy. But good thing that soon you can buy the next one, which is the same, but for more. Now you can buy the next one, and it's for just one is the same. Wait, how does this work now? I don't know. But this is way better. And now you can buy them. You kind of don't need to buy the smaller one anymore, which is kind of a design flaw, but who cares? But anyways, now you can buy the next one as well. Oh my god. Which is also more beneficial than the other. Wait, how does it? I don't remember. I don't know how the numbers work, okay? It was randomized, basically. Okay, let's do. It's such a mess. But now you can buy the 729 one, which is 15.5. I am very confused about idle games in general now. The second one is the best one, is that how it works? But yes, I kind of forgot what this video was about at this point. Wait, now I could buy this one, and also this one. Okay, let's buy this. This is 25. Huh. It makes sense that at some point you need to buy lower ones because these ones get too expensive. I think. Sorry. I am getting closer and closer to my goal of buying all of them. But now this is the best one by far. Does that mean this is actually the best one? Wait, no. Okay, the first one is... Wait, this is such a weird game. The second button is the most beneficial one, but it doesn't pay for itself, so you need more buttons. And the lower you go, the higher the second button can go. It's so weird. This is what ⵒᵗᵗᵗ should have been. This might be a commentary on something, I don't know what. Numbers. I love my numbers. Yippee, only 45. But now that I bought this, I can buy this one faster. And with this, I can buy this one faster. Yes. And now this. Amazing. Awesome. Wonderful. Great. Epic. Wondrous. Let's go. It's This is a beautiful game. I hope you can even play this game or whatever. You could technically make your own, I guess. You can play this game in a calculator. But anyways. Thank you for watching this video. The next video is gonna be of my favorite game that I made with my engine so far, which is called Not So Quick Save. I already recorded that video, just like, this is the 6th video I record, and the 2nd video that's gonna come out. That's why this one is so messed up. I can buy the last one again. Amazing. Anyways, thank you for being here, and I hope you're excited for the next video, which is honestly really good, as I said many times before. And I hope to see... Wait. Let's go. I hope to see you again. Have a good idol.